Thank you, organizers, for calling me and giving me this opportunity. I am indeed very glad that of late I am seeing a number of seminars or conferences on water, which was rare when I was the secretary in the Government of India. Water being a life support system, why are we not discussing much about water? It's a very sad thing, and now that we have started, it is receiving prominence. It's indeed a matter of happiness, and we need to take it to the states, maybe the lower level tier 2, tier 3 cities to talk about water. And I'm given to understand that the ministry is doing it now. Water being one of the most complicated subjects that I had dealt in my career. I worked in a number of departments, but I found it to be the most complex and most complicated and most neglected subject. In fact, even among my colleagues, we would, we would not want to go to water resource ministry, because Department of Commerce, Finance used to be more prestigious for the IAS. But then I found that that was my most meaningful period in my career. That was the end of my service, but that was the most meaningful. I enjoyed it through and through. And as it happened that post-retirement, this particular subject keeps calling me to various such gatherings. And I'm happy that I am able to meet some of my colleagues like Kush, Avinash, Bandhopadhyay and others, Dr. Gupta. We should not, my advice that we should not bind a subject of national importance to 10 minutes talk, should not be 10 minutes limit. It's a subject that we need to talk and advise the policy making as much as we do. The previous speakers, I'm sure, would have helped you to connect your dots, number of dots. I would try to take you to the holistic picture and talk a bit more about the ecological connect. We rarely talk about that. So ecological connect is important. The sustainability part. Are we exploiting? Are we over-exploiting? Are we doing the right way of exploitation? So that's the second part. And of course, some areas like wastewater and technologies. First and foremost is precipitation is the only source of water, is a fundamental thing that all of us need to know. 92-93% is by rainwater in India, and the rest is by snowfall. So this is the only source which happens over a period of, say, 45 to 50 days overall downpour. And this 45 to 50 downpours or falls, we need to hold it to ensure water availability, not only to the human beings, but to all the living creatures on the earth, so that the cycle of life continues on and on. So where do we hold water? We hold it at two places. One, nature has given, that is the groundwater. Second, we do artificial, is through the reservoir, but nature also holds water in the form of big lakes, tanks, etc. The nature holds water not only as groundwater, but a riverine ecosystem right from the mountains where you have, which is a forested area, the rainwater through the root zone percolates down into the subsoil system, and that forms the groundwater and keeps the river alive around the year. It's not only those 45-50 days of rainwater that keeps the river alive. It's around the year water in the river that keeps the river alive. Today, unfortunately, Avinash very rightly said that out of, I think, 12 rivers are distressed, in a distressed condition. I was in Tamil Nadu Cadre and I did not see any water in Kaveri other than during the monsoon period. I come from Ganga belt, and you see hardly any water in Ganga from Kanpur down to Allahabad. In between, there is hardly any water. In fact, even from Hardwar onwards, it's start depleting. So managing the riverine ecosystem right from the mountain to its floodplain, to its sediments, to its the wetlands, the meanders, and the creeks, and finally how much water that goes ultimately into the Bay of Bengal, all form part of a cycle that we need to understand. I'll try to explain if I get some time later. Unfortunately, our understanding of water has been evolving, and now in the policy, whether it is a national water policy or draft water policy, these things are being addressed. We need to take it to the states, which are the main beneficiaries, where the action actually lies, how you manage the water ecosystem, the riverine ecosystem, because that is the crux of water availability. So that's the first point. I'm trying to be in a very bullet points type, time being the limit. Second is, if you see the total net irrigated area, groundwater constitutes almost 65%, if not more. So groundwater has to have importance. Groundwater has started acquiring its position in the policy in the last couple of years. But groundwater is very, very complicated. We need to understand the geology of the area to know how much of groundwater the particular area can hold. Somebody was very right, I think Avinash was mentioning that where do we do the water harvesting? Should it be all across, or should it be at the right location? Right location where you need to do groundwater harvesting, and how do you know the right location? We had started a scheme called NACUM. Unfortunately, I don't know where it stands today, but that was supposed to have given us specific information about where one should do the rainwater harvesting. But even through the remote sensing mechanism, I think Mr. Rana was telling this. Yeah. Even with remote sensing technology, you know where actually the rainwater harvesting structure should be, their structure or measures should be taken up. Then that much of water will go into the subsoil system, fill up your groundwater. Today, across the country, the groundwater board, agree or not agree, but across the country, water table has sunk to a level where it is unsustainable. Punjab has obviously become the worst. Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra. I mean, all these states are becoming year by year. The water levels are going down to a level where it is becoming unsustainable. So, need to identify the locations where rainwater harvest measures has to be taken. Our forefathers had those knowledge, and places like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, they used to set up or create sacred groves. Sacred groves were nothing but place which was geologically ideal for rainwater to percolate into the subsoil system and fill up the aquifers. And they called it sacred groves so that people don't destroy it. We have systematically destroyed it. I was collector of a place called Pudukottai in Tamil Nadu. It had more than 5,000 tanks, and each tank were connected with supply and surplus channels. And over the period, these were destroyed, and large number of tanks were not even receiving water, despite the fact that the district had over 900 millimeter of rainfall on an average. We, under the self-help, we started desilting some of those supply channels and surplus channels, and we found that some of the tanks which did not receive water for more than 16 years started receiving water. So we need to ensure that those tanks are to be revived. Even if we have to go back, we have to go back to 100 years old topo map from the Survey of India and locate those places where those tanks were there and supply and surplus channels were there. We need to restore them. I had occasion to work in Nilgiris. Uti is the capital. And Nilgiri, we found that the district gazetteer mentions that the district is full of water. Around there, water used to flow along the road, falls, everywhere. When I joined, I hardly saw water. In fact, some of the village we had to supply water through tankers. Imagine more than 2,000 millimeter of rainfall, more than 150 days of rainfall, and the district was suffering from water crisis a certain period of time. We unfortunately destroyed the natural ecosystem. The grassland, which used to act as a sponge, would hold water and gradually release water into the shola forest. Into the shola forest. Shola forest would hold water because of intricate root system, and then the surplus would go into swamp and swamp back down to the river. That was the system which nature evolved, and that's why the district was full of water round the year. Today we hardly see that kind of water flows in the district. So coming back again, that why natural infrastructure maintenance is important, and rejuvenation is important, and preservation is important. I was trying to highlight this point. And second, of course, is the groundwater. Third is, are we using groundwater judiciously? Our cropping pattern, thanks to our eating habit has been promoted by the market forces. We eat paddy, we eat rice, we eat wheat. Why do we do that? The nature does not say that. In fact, when I was a child, there was a concept that our food should have 18 different food items as a food diversity, and that used to keep us healthy. Today we have become diabetic capital of the world because we eat rice. Even tribals have started developing diabetic conditions because they have started. We give them 1 rupee, 2 rupee rice. It's a political it's a language. We should do away with this. Thank God, thank to the current Prime Minister who is promoting millet. We need to move to millet. Punjab was never known as a rice state. Punjab was a maize state. Makke ki roti and sarson ki saag, it was a maize country. And we moved away from to rice. And today you see even NASA is saying that groundwater cannot come back in Punjab. So much of 78% of irrigation in Punjab is by groundwater. So imagine what have we done to that? Uttar Pradesh, we call it as Harit Pradesh. Water table has sunk to a level where we don't know how do we revive it back. In fact, 2015-16 we had drought, and the Prime Minister used to call all those drought affected states, and UP was there, and UP said, the Chief Minister said that the water table has sunk to 80 meters. And out of turn I had to say that, sir, this particular state has a large number of rivulets, nalas, alluvium soil, 1200 millimeter of rainfall. Why should groundwater be at 80 meters? It's definitely something wrong we have done to the system. So we need to change our cropping pattern, move to crops which are low water guzzling, and for that we need to change our eating habits. Farmers will produce what the government procures. What government procures, what we eat. So if we change our eating habits, obviously this will change, and it's required to be changed. Fourth is, large number of reservoirs have been set up, but what is the efficiency of reservoir? We are doing flow irrigation. Flow irrigation is not supposed to be the most efficient system of irrigation, and wherever is flow irrigation, obviously farmers do paddy cultivation. In fact, when you see the design of a reservoir, when the project was designed, we don't design with only paddy, we design with various crops, and then we design how water should be transmitted and how water should be used, and then we design the command area. By flow irrigation, unfortunately the efficiency levels are not as much as it should be. My recommendation is, and since Kush is here and he is now fortunately is the chairman Central Water Commission, the Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program, AIBP what we used to call it, should it now move to efficiency improvement? Can we convert all the canals to pipe, create pressure and deliver water through pipes and through the efficient mechanism of water delivery, and make the farmers change from paddy wheat to some other low water consuming crops. We will be able to, and this is important in the in the changing climatic condition, where we don't know when water will be available, how much of water will be available. One part of the country is facing cloudbursts, another part of the country is facing cracks in the soil because of low rainfall. So can we do that so that our all the reservoirs become efficient? The hydrology on which these reservoirs were constructed, obviously in the last couple of years with the changing climatic condition, have undergone change. I'm sure you would agree with me. So with low availability, Maharashtra 4,000 reservoirs and faces severe drought. Every year Maharashtra faces problem. In fact, Maharashtra is the most problematic problematic state if you go into the geology of Maharashtra. I'm not here to discuss that. We can talk later. So Maharashtra will have to adapt to this moving to smarter and efficient system of irrigation. Only then Maharashtra can ensure that its agriculture doesn't become a failure. Coming back to the last point which everybody has talked, I should also do a bit, is the wastewater. We are generating huge quantity of wastewater, but the treatment levels are very, very poor. In fact, most of the rivers have become sewers because of lack of treatment. In fact, our olden days, the sewer system was not the method that were in our policy by our forefathers. It was all septic tanks. Today we have moved to sewer system, and the first town, we call Banaras as the oldest town in the world. The first town which became river to sewer was Banaras. Unfortunately, the British converted it, and in the process, the holy river of Ganga, we have spent so much of money on Ganga, and still we are not able to say that Ganga has become 100% clean. We need to ensure that all water that is waste are treated and sold, whether it is to the agriculture or to the railways or to the at least for non-potable purpose. Industry. Why should industry take fresh water? Fresh water availability has come down to about 1400 cubic meter. It's below the threshold level. So potable, non-potable, for non-potable purpose, this water, the wastewater, treated wastewater should be used, and fresh water should be as much as possible avoided for such purposes. Last point is urban water. Avinash was very right in saying that almost 40-50% of water, revenue, non-revenue, is wasted. How do we protect that? How do we prevent that? Number one, that if you see Delhi, the NDMC area receives almost like 700-800 LPCD of water, whereas Tughlakabad gets less than 100 LPCD of water. So this discrimination can be sorted out, can be resolved through technology. Today technology can direct on a per capita basis. You have IT solutions, you can ensure that only X quantity, the quantity that is you are entitled to, is delivered to you and controlled by the sensors. Secondly, can we ensure that technology can clean water before it is delivered to my house, right at the overhead tank? It is possible. A sensor can sense and infuse those chemicals which can purify water, and it is delivered to us. Why should I buy Hema Malini supported Kent and other things? I would like to have pure water in my house, and it will be much lower cost. We waste a lot of water in that. Technology can ensure that water can be diverted and delivered equitably to all. Last point, sorry I'm taking slightly longer time, but I thought that last point I need to cover because I was also co-chair of the task force of Jal Jeevan mission. Somebody, Mr. Rana was talking about Jal Jeevan mission. The hunky-dory picture that you presented, unfortunately I'm not getting that picture from the field, and my colleagues, those who are in the field, I'm sorry to point out, it is becoming, Mr. Periwal would also not, would violently disagree with me, but let him disagree. It is becoming a pipe mission. In fact, we had suggested two important non-negotiable conditions for success of Jal Jeevan mission. One, most important, was source sustainability. You rightly pointed out, source sustainability will happen only when A, the community knows where to do rainwater harvesting measures, one. B, that the community should know how much of water is available post-monsoon. That is possible only through the piezometer. Third, the community should understand that if I have only 100 liters of water available in my aquifer, I cannot budget for 1,000 liters. Because the same source has a competing needs, agriculture, human beings, cattle needs, and industry. So same source has competing needs. Human and cattle are at the higher pecking order, agriculture comes third at the pecking order, and industry being the fourth. So this understanding, have we been able to communicate to them that you need to understand that you have only 100 liters, you have to account only for 100 liters, can't have more than 100 liters. In fact, we have to save 20 liters for the next year. We don't know whether it will be a drought year or not. So source sustainability is non-negotiable for success of Jal Jeevan mission. The success of Jal Jeevan mission is predicated on source sustainability. Otherwise, it will remain a pipe dream and it will become a pipe mission rather than a Jal Jeevan mission for everybody. My information is that even though we have from 18 crore household, when we took up the mission task force, today they claim to have connected about 15 crore household, but more than 50% of the household are still not getting water because of source having failed. Second important non-negotiable point that we had suggested was community engagement right from the planning stage. Planning to construction, planning to procurement, to construction, to manage the O&M, because then they own up. Today, I give them as a government scheme. Then their involvement significantly gets reduced there. Then they see that it has come free of cost. It becomes success or not success is immaterial. So community engagement, 3.6 lakh crores, I believe it is going to about 4 lakh crores public money, and if the success rate is going to be very low, I would like to slow down and do the midterm correction. Thank you very much. I just wanted to talk all about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sir,